write this down if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. It's up to you, okay? But let me tell you what order of operations is. It is a certain order that mathematicians want people to use when they are solving a problem, okay? And when I say a certain order, I'm talking about adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, exponents, roots, parentheses, brackets, etc. Okay? So order of operations is a certain order that mathematicians want people to use when they are solving a problem. Now, you've probably had this material before in middle school, so I don't think it'll be completely brand new, but I'm going to teach the material like it is brand new just to make sure that everyone understands what I am teaching today. I want to give you the steps that you need to use for order of operations, okay? Now, some teachers use the acronym called Pemdas. Stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division. This should be an A right here. Addition and subtraction, okay? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and that is a great way to do that. I do not use that method, but there's nothing wrong with that. If you are used to PEMDAS, if you are used to this, and that's how you've learned the material in the past, and it works for you, then by all means, feel free to keep using that method, but I do ask that you take notes today on how I'm going to teach order of operations. You might like it better and you might not, but at least take notes. And then feel free to use whatever method you want to use, okay? Alright, here we go. Copy these 4 steps down, please, if you would. Thank you. Now, what I always tell students is this. The first thing you do is make sure all of your parentheses and brackets are simplified down to one number on the inside. So if you've got more than one number on the inside and more than one number here, you want to simplify all this down until you have one number on the inside and one number on the inside. Okay? Now, notice this very carefully when you're doing step 1. When you're simplifying your parentheses and brackets down to one number, make sure that you use steps 2 through 4 on the inside. In other words, let's say inside this bracket right here, you've got stuff like 2 squared plus 5 times 6. Okay, when you have that, and you're trying to take this bracket, and you're trying to simplify it down to one number, make sure you use these steps here, like do all your powers first, and multiplication, then addition and subtraction. Make sure you do use these steps here while you're simplifying down this to one number, okay? Alright, so step 1, simplify your parentheses and brackets down to one number. Okay, step 2, you do all powers, roots, and radicals. Actually, this is kind of redundant. A root and a radical is the same thing. I'm not sure why I put that, but we're going to do all powers and radicals next. Oh, I know what it was. Powers, radicals, and absolute values. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the stage you are at right now. Copy this down, please. Do all powers, radicals, and absolute values. Do all powers, comma, radicals, comma, and absolute values. Now, for the problems we're going to do, you're not going to have any of these or any of these right now, but you will later. That's why I'm having you copy it down. But go ahead and copy all of this down. And then next you do all multiplication and division from left to right. And then do all addition and subtraction from left to right. Now, when I say multiplication and division, if you have 6 divided by 2 times 5, some students think you do your multiplication first. 2 times 5 is 10, and then you have 6 divided by 10. That's wrong. And that's one of the problems I have with PEMDAS, because it says multiplication and then division. That's really not correct. You do all multiplication and division as you see them from left to right. So you're looking for multiplication and division both. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, so you do multiplication and division from left to right as you see them. Same thing with addition and subtraction. It's another problem I have with PEMDAS. It says you do addition and then subtraction. It's not true. You do addition and subtraction at the same time. Just like you do multiplication and division at the same time, you do addition and subtraction in order from left to right at the same time. So if I have 5 plus 6 minus 3 plus 10, a lot of students think that you first do your addition and your addition. 5 plus 6 is 11, minus 3 plus 10 is 13. And that's incorrect. You do your addition and subtraction at the same time. So 5 plus 6 is 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. And 8 plus 10 is 18. Okay, so understand that, alright? Now, honestly, I know it might sound a little confusing, but for the most part, these steps sound pretty easy, and they are, for the most part. But we still need to practice to make sure you know how to apply these steps correctly when we're using order of operation. Excuse me. So let's apply these steps to some math problems. I'm going to warn you, we're going to do a lot of examples, okay? So here we go. Now, obviously, for every problem that we do, you don't need to copy these steps over again, okay? I just have them written there so you can see what we're doing. Okay, step 1, make sure all your parentheses and brackets have one number on the inside. I see no parentheses and brackets. Next, do all powers, roots, and radicals. Don't even worry about these. Do all powers, or in other words, exponents. I don't see any. Do all multiplication and division. I don't see any. Do all addition and subtraction. Well, pretty simple. 24 minus 8 would be 16. 24 minus 8 is 16. Bring down your minus 6. 16 minus 6 is 10. Finished. On to the next problem. That was a pretty simple one, okay? Alright, here we go. Step 1. Do we have any parentheses or brackets anywhere in this problem? No, we do not. Okay? Do we have, don't worry about this. Do we have any powers? Or in other words, when I say powers, I mean exponents. Do we have any exponents anywhere? No. So, check, check. Do all multiplication and division from left to right, okay? I see some multiplication and division. So 15 times 2 is 30. Bring down your divided by 6. And then 30 divided by 6 is 5. Easy enough, huh? Pretty simple. Alright, next problem. Okay, now we're getting a little more complex. Do you see any parentheses or brackets in here? No. So we're going to cross that off. Do you see any exponents or powers anywhere? No. Check that off. Do you see any multiplication and division? Well, yes, I see some division right here. So you've got to do that first. So bring down your 16. Bring down your plus sign. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. And then bring down your minus 3. Okay, I don't see any multiplication or division. We're done. Now do all your addition and subtraction. So 16 plus 2 is 18. Bring down your minus 3. 18 minus 3 is 15. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Just follow these steps and you'll be fine. Okay, a little more difficult now. Make sure that all of your parentheses and brackets have one number on the inside. Well, here's your brackets right here. They've got a bunch of numbers on the inside. And then look at this. Here's your parentheses. They've got a bunch of numbers on the inside. I think the best thing to do is to start with my parentheses and get this down to one number, okay? So I'm going to put my 10. I'm going to put my plus sign. I'm going to put my parentheses. And now see this right here? See this? Let's get that work down to one number. So I've got what? 5 squared times 2. Now look at your steps right here. Do you do your multiplication and division first, or do you do your powers first? Well, step 2 says do my powers first, so 5 times 5 is 25 times 2, which is 50. So I took this entire expression, and now it's down to one number, 50. Put your bracket, and then divide it by 6, okay? So now, make sure all of your parentheses are down to one number. Well, this parentheses has one number on the inside, but look at my bracket. My bracket still has 2 numbers, so let's simplify that, okay? 10 plus 50. 10 plus 50. 60. Bring down your divided by 6. Now, step 1 is finished. All of my parentheses and all of my brackets have one number on the inside. Next, do all of your exponents. I don't see any. Next, do all multiplication and division. Well, I've got division. 60 divided by 16. I mean 60 divided by 6, which is 10, and we're finished. Okay, guys, just stop step 1, step 2, step 3, so just do your steps. Okay, here's a more complex one. Okay, make sure your parentheses and brackets have one number. Well, I don't see any brackets, I see parentheses. For example, I'm going to bring down my 5, bring down my plus sign. 4 plus 2 is 6. And then bring down my squared. And now let's see what else I have, guys. Bring down your minus sign. And I'm going to go ahead and put a parentheses right here. For this big parentheses right here. Okay? So see this 6 right here. I'm going to go ahead and put my 6 here. And bring down my times 2. Now, see this entire expression here. Let's work that out so we have one number here in the parentheses, okay? So what do I have? I have 4 minus 8 divided by 2. Isn't that what I have right here? Sure I do. Well, we know to do division first before we do our multiplication. So 4 minus, what's 8 divided by 2? 4. What's 4 minus 4? 0. So I have a 0 right here. There we go. Step 1 is finished. Check it off. All of my parentheses and brackets have one number on the inside. Next, do all of your exponents. Well, let's see. Do I have any exponents? Yeah, I've got one here. So 5 plus what? 36. 6 times 6. Minus, well, 0 to the 6th power. That means you write 0 6 times. What doesn't matter, does it? 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 is going to be 0, so it really doesn't matter. And then bring down your times 2. So there I did my powers. Check it off. Do all multiplication and division. I see some multiplication right here. So I have 5 plus 36 and then 0 times 2. Well, that's 0. So minus 0. I see no division anywhere. I see no multiplication. It's all gone. So now do your addition and subtraction. So 5 plus 36 is 41 minus 0, which is 41. Really not too difficult, guys. Okay, really not too difficult. Alright, let's try another one here. How many more do we have? This one, this one, this one, this one. So we have 4 more to do, so we're okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more problems. Okay. Make sure your parentheses and brackets are simplified down to one number. Well, I've got a bracket right here. And I have a parentheses over here, but notice there's one number on the inside already, so I'm okay over there. But I've got to do some work on this bracket, so I've got a 6. Put a bracket, and just leave it empty, okay? Then bring everything else down, plus 3 squared, plus 9 times 3. So what do I have to do now? What I have to do is take all of this stuff on the inside and simplify it. So I have 4 plus 3 times 7. Remember what I told you up here? When you're doing this step, getting your parentheses and brackets down to one number, use steps 2 through 4. So what do I do first right here? Powers, there are none. What do I do next? Multiplication and division. Well, I've got multiplication right here. These two numbers are side by side. So 4 plus what? 21. 3 times 7, 21. And now 4 plus 21 is 25. So now this bracket is down to one number. And so is my parentheses, so check off step 1. Now step 2 says do all of your powers. I see an exponent here. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little sloppy. I'm just going to make this a 3. 3 squared is 9, so I'm just going to make this a 9. There we go, that's a 9 right there. And I'm just going to get rid of this power. So there we go, step 2 is done. Now step 3, I'm looking for multiplication and division. Well, the 6 and the 25 are side by side, so they're multiplying. The 9 and the 3 are side by side, they're multiplying. So 6 times 25 would be 150. Then bring down your positive 9, and then 9 times 3 would be 27. And there we go. Next to all your addition and subtraction, so 150 plus 9 is 159. Plus 27, which would be 186. Alright, 186. So there we go, guys. Not too difficult. Now these next two problems, this problem here and this problem here, we're going to values and substitute them in for variables, and then use order of operations. So it'll be interesting. Okay, let's see how we do. So before I use any of these 4 steps, the first thing I have to do is make my substitution. Now I taught you in a previous lesson wherever there's a variable, put a parentheses. There's an x, put a parentheses and put your squared. And then where the parentheses is, put a 4. And now we're ready. Step 1. Says to make sure your parentheses and brackets have one number. Well, this parentheses has one number on the inside, so we're good. Okay, so step 1's done. Step 2, do all of your exponents. So do not take 3 times 4 first. The 3 is right next to the 4. We know that's multiplying. So it's 3 times, do your powers. 16 minus 1. 4 times 4 is 16. Step 3, do all. Okay, sorry guys, I had to pause the video. I'm not sure where I was, but we know we did step 2. Step 3, do all multiplication and division. I don't see any division, but I see multiplication right here. 3 times 16 is 48. Bring down your minus 1 and then subtract. Your answer is 47. Not too bad. Let's try another one. Alright, before we can do any of our 4 steps, we must first pick up these values and substitute them into the variables over here. Okay, so everywhere there's a variable, put a parentheses. Here's an x, so I'll put a parentheses and then a 4. Then bring down your plus 4. Then put a parentheses, then where the y is, put a little parentheses, and then minus 2. So where the x is right here, I'm going to put a 5. And where the y is right here, I'm going to put a 3. And now I think we're ready to go, okay? So step 1 says to make sure all parentheses and brackets are down to one number, okay? This parentheses here has one number, we're good. But this one does not. See that? This one does. But this parentheses here does not have one number. So I'm going to bring down my 5. Bring down my plus 4. Then put a parentheses, and now let's work. We can do this in our head. 3 minus 2 is 1. There we go. Now, all of my parentheses and brackets have one number on the inside. Step 2, do all powers, roots, and radicals, and absolute values. We're going to do all exponents. Where's an exponent? Right here, 5 to the 4th power, okay? Let's see, what would that be? 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times 5 is 625, I believe. So 5 to the 4th power is 625, okay? And then bring down your positive 4 and your 1. So now that's done. Step 2 is finished. Step 3, do all multiplication and division. I do see some multiplication here. They're side by side. So 625 plus 4. 4 times 1 is 4. And so your final answer is 629. Okay, 629. Alright, last but not least, this problem here. Now this order of operation problem is a fraction. And I'd like to tell you exactly what you need to do, and I hope you will listen to me, okay? You ignore the bottom, and you use these 4 steps on the top, and get one number over here. Then you ignore, and I shouldn't have done that probably, hold on a second. And then you ignore the top, and you work all of this out and get one number down here on the bottom, so you have one number over one number. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let's start with the top first of all. I'm going to put a fraction bar over here, so as we work out the top and the bottom, we'll put our numbers over here. The top is easy. 7 times 4 is 28. Now let's work on the denominator, the bottom. This is your numerator, this is your denominator. Step 1, make sure your parentheses and brackets, well, it doesn't matter, there are no parentheses and brackets. Step 2, do all of your exponents. There's an exponent right there. So we have 8 plus 49, 7 times 7 minus 1. Next to all multiplication and division, there is none. Next to addition and subtraction, from left to right, 8 plus 49 is 57. Minus 1, which is 56. So 20 28 over 56. Now in algebra class, anytime you have a fraction for an answer, it must be reduced as low as possible, okay? So this would be points off on a test or a quiz. 28 goes into both of these numbers. 28 goes into 28 once, and 28 goes into 56 twice. If you did not know that, you could have reduced it over and over by 2. 2 goes into 28 14 times. 2 goes into 56 28 times. 2 goes into 14 7 times. And 2 goes into 28 14 times. 7 goes in both of those numbers, 1/2. So either way, you get 1/2. It doesn't matter. Okay? And that's it, guys. Make sure you work hard on the homework and practice this so you know how to do the order of operation types of problems. I hope this video has been a help. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.